Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. My boss stole my project. I worked at a mid-sized company in the U.S., the kind that calls itself a family right up until someone asks for a raise or bruises the wrong ego. We built B2B solutions for a heavily regulated industry, one of those places where any lie in the paperwork eventually turns into an audit, and an audit turns into, please step into the conference room. My boss, Brad Holt, was a walking personal brand. Expensive shirt, expensive watch, cheap jokes, and an unshakable belief that everything good in the company happened because of him. He could talk like a TED speaker, but when it came to real work, he lived by a simple rule. If you can't build it, steal it. If you can't steal it, find someone who can, then call it team synergy. Our relationship was tense long before everything went to hell. I was the type of employee he hated. I had opinions, I had receipts, and I didn't laugh at his legendary stories about how he once saved a contract by yelling at a client until the client learned respect. He could tell I wasn't drinking his charisma straight from the bottle, and it irritated him. And then there was Tiffany. Officially, she was his executive assistant. Unofficially, she was the office queen with a petty dictator complex. She walked like the hallways belonged to her, and the rest of us were temporary squatters in her kingdom. She had that look like employees were just furniture that happened to talk. "You can't go in to see Brad right now," she snapped one day when I brought him project materials. "He's in a meeting." I glanced at her monitor. Her calendar said lunch, 12 o'clock to 1:30. "Got it," I said calmly. "Very important meeting." With a fork. Her eyes narrowed. "You're not the smartest guy here, okay?" "Tragic," I said. I was hoping for competition. She tightened her lips and slid my folder away like I'd handed her dirty socks. "Leave it. I'll pass it along." I left it, and right then I felt it. She wasn't going to pass it along. She was going to filter it, twist it, decide what got through, which meant she wasn't just an assistant. She was part of his control system, and she was watching me. It started with little things, but little things stack. Weird questions. "Who were you talking to in the conference room yesterday?" Or, "Why were you here so late after 5? She'd accidentally show up next to my desk at the exact moment I opened financial files. Brad made jokes about me being too ambitious. He said it like ambition was a crime, unless it was his. Meanwhile, I was building a major internal project, an optimization platform for our biggest client. I won't name the industry, but this was the kind of work that either levels up a company or burns its reputation to the ground if you do it sloppy. I called it Atlas because it basically held half our business on its shoulders. I gathered requirements, wrote specs, built models, ran client calls, herded engineers like a shepherd chasing a flock of cats, and documented every change so thoroughly even a dead audit committee could read it and nod. Brad's contribution was mostly comments like, "Make it look premium," add more words about synergy, and remember, I'm presenting. That last one, he always emphasized the I, like the presentation was a temple and he was the only priest allowed inside. I already had a bad feeling. You know that feeling when your apartment's quiet, but you still check the lock twice? That was me at work, so I started protecting myself. Nothing shady, just professional paranoia. Everything through official channels, every key decision in writing, client approvals from my email, files with my metadata, version history with my notes, ticket system with my name. Then one night, I stayed late. Classic. Deadline, an engineer forgot we were running a production system and not his garage. And then the client wanted updated scenarios by morning. The office emptied out, lights off in most areas, the AC hummed like a horror movie fridge. I was at my desk with coffee that tasted like punishment. Around 9, I heard voices. I figured it was security or janitorial. Then I recognized Tiffany's laugh. Sticky, like gum under a table. I got up because I needed the printer across from Brad's office, and that's when I saw it. His door cracked open, warm light inside, and them. Brad standing by his desk, Tiffany half perched on it, their faces close enough that it wasn't work talk, and then they kissed. Not a quick peck, not an oops, a practiced, comfortable kiss. The kind of thing people do when they've been doing it a while. I froze. My brain ran through options, walk in, slam the door, pretend I saw nothing. But that same instinct that makes you check the locks whispered, "You just found their off switch. Don't press it yet. Keep it." I quietly pulled out my phone. No flash, no sound. I framed it so you could see Brad's face, Tiffany's profile, and just enough of the office background to make Photoshop a joke. Click. They didn't notice me. I went back to my desk so quietly even my guilt didn't squeak. I didn't plan to use it as a weapon. Honestly, it was insurance, like a fire extinguisher. You don't buy one because you want to start a kitchen fire. You buy one because people are dumb and electricity is evil. The next few weeks, Tiffany got even bolder. She'd walk into our open office and manage people like she was the department head. "Why haven't you sent this yet?" she barked at one of our analysts. "Because I'm waiting on legal to confirm," he said. "I don't care. Send it." "Tiffany," I cut in without raising my voice, "you're not the signer on that email." She snapped her head toward me. "Excuse me? I'm just trying to avoid us all hanging from the same hook later." She sneered and marched into Brad's office. 5 minutes later, he stormed out, red as a stoplight. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" he shouted across the office. Heads popped up like prairie dogs. I didn't flinch. "Doing the job correctly," I said. "You're undermining authority." "Authority?" I raised an eyebrow. I thought authority was something you build, not something your assistant hands out like coupons. "Don't you dare," he jabbed a finger at me. "You'll regret this." "I already regret not recording this," I said, and someone nearby stifled a laugh. That's when I knew the project was in danger, not technically, politically. Guys like Brad can't tolerate someone nearby looking competent. My competence was a strain on his white sneakers, and he was going to scrub it out. The day of the board presentation is burned into my memory. We were in the big conference room, the one that always smelled like dry erase marker and corporate lies. I delivered the final slide deck and documentation ahead of schedule. Everything was uploaded through SharePoint, complete version history, tracked changes. In a perfect world, that should have protected me. Brad stood at the screen, clicked the remote, and started, "I want to show you the project I developed with my team." The cold feeling crawled up my spine. He said "I" so often that if this had been a drinking game, the board would have been under the table by slide 3. Slide 4 had my diagram, drawn at 3 in the morning. Slide 5 had my risk matrix dragged out of legal with sheer persistence. Slide 6 had the roadmap I built with engineering across 2 weeks. My name was nowhere, not even in the speaker notes. I sat there watching him steal more than a project. He was stealing my nights, my stress, my weekends. Tiffany sat against the wall with that smug smile like she just won an award. Afterward, our CFO, Michelle, caught me in the hallway. "Nice work," she said, but her tone had a sharp edge. "Thanks," I replied. It was a marathon. She leaned closer. "Who actually built it?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Me, start to finish." She paused, then said quietly, "Good, keep your documentation close." That's when I realized she'd smelled it too. People at the top can detect lies better than expensive cologne. It didn't explode right away. That part matters. If you start yelling the moment you're robbed, you look emotional, someone to be managed. But if you stay calm and collect facts, you become the person nobody wants to poke. My first hit wasn't against Brad, it was against the system. We had a compliance hotline, anonymous ethics reporting. I wrote a dry, emotionless report, suspected misattribution of work, authorship manipulation, documentation tampering. I attached links to version history, metadata, ticket logs, client threads from my email proving every key decision ran through me. And then I added the cherry on top. Brad's presentation included sections of internal material that legally couldn't be shared without sign-off. He'd stolen so indiscriminately, he'd stolen his own liability. A week later, the client requested a call. Not a routine status update. This came with a list of questions so specific, I immediately knew someone on their side was testing authorship. Brad marched into my cubicle, already vibrating with anger. "You will keep your mouth shut on this call. Got it?" he barked. "That depends," I said. "No, hell no, it does not depend. I lead, you support." "If they ask about the risk model," I said calmly, "do you want me to stay quiet and let us look incompetent?" "I will look fine," he snapped. "You're trying to set me up." "Brad," I said, meeting his eyes, "you already did that yourself." He went pale. Tiffany stood behind him with her arms crossed, staring at me like she was trying to calculate if she could eat me without seasoning. The call was a slow-motion execution. The client director, a guy with the voice of someone used to being obeyed, opened with, Before we begin, who authored the architecture for this solution? Brad forced a wide smile. I led the development with my team. A pause. I didn't ask who led, the client said. I asked who wrote it. Brad swallowed. It was collaborative. Okay, the client replied. Then let the collaborators explain section 3.2 in the documentation, why you chose those control points and how you calculated the threshold. Brad turned his head toward me, eyes screaming, "Don't you dare." I pretended I didn't see it. It's based on historical data from the last 18 months, I said smoothly. We modeled the error distribution, adjusted for seasonality, and aligned it with your compliance framework. If you'd like, I can open the model and walk through the exact formula. On the other end of the line, someone audibly exhaled in relief. Excellent, the client said. Thank you. Next question, who handled the approval correspondence? Our legal team says the primary contact was someone else. Without blinking, I answered, me. I have the full email threads and can forward them if needed. Brad sat rigid. Tiffany's jaw clenched like she was about to crack a tooth. After the call, Brad exploded in the conference room before we even made it back to the hallway. What did you do? He yelled. You ruined my presentation. I answered questions, I said. You were supposed to shut up. And you were supposed to know the answers, I said evenly, if it was your project. He sputtered, close to incoherent. You think you're smarter than me? I don't think, I said. I read the numbers. He lifted his hand like he wanted to throw something, then froze because someone knocked. Brad, Michelle said, stepping into the doorway, come see me. Now. That phrase, come see me, is corporate for walk to your execution. What followed was fast and brutal. Internal investigation, access logs, IT confirmations, legal review. They could see who created files, who edited them, who removed my name, who uploaded the deck, who altered attribution. And Tiffany, she started running around like a furious fairy without a wand. Nobody answers audit questions without Brad's approval, she shouted. One of the engineers finally snapped, You're not our boss, Tiffany. I decide who your boss is, she screamed back. That's when I saw it. The click in people's eyes, fear breaking into contempt. Now for the personal part, the photo. I didn't send it immediately. I didn't want to look like the guy who retaliated over an affair. My revenge was about work. But life loves a combo meal. One day I heard Brad in the hallway on the phone, voice not executive, but panicked kid. No, Jenny, it's not what you think, he shouted. It's a lie. It's... Pause. Who sent that to you? Another pause. You're destroying my life. And then Jenny's voice came through the phone, loud enough to make the walls blush. You destroyed your life, Brad. Don't you dare lie to me. I saw the photo. I saw you. The office went dead quiet. Everyone pretended to type while secretly listening like it was a Netflix premiere. Jenny, please, he begged. Let me explain. You can explain to the judge, she screamed. And by the way, my attorney's already here. Don't come home. Your stuff will be in the garage. And leave the car keys with security. It's mine. The house is mine. And so are your little secrets. Brad turned the color of printer paper. For a second, I thought he might actually drop. I don't know who sent her the photo. Maybe someone else saw them. Maybe someone in the office hated Tiffany enough to light the match. Maybe the truth simply found a way out, the way it always does. I could guess. I just never had to admit anything. The divorce hit in parallel to the audit. One day he lost control at home. The next he lost it at work. And when someone like Brad loses control, he doesn't get humble. He gets louder. He stormed up to my desk in front of half the department. You, he screamed, finger in my face. You did this. You leaked it. You destroyed my family. I stood slowly. Brad, I said, if your family falls apart because of one photo, the problem isn't the camera. I'll ruin you, he shouted. You already tried, I said. It went about how you'd expect. Tiffany rushed in. You think you won? She shrieked. You're nobody. You're just what? An engineer behind me cut in. Someone who actually works? Tiffany whipped around. Shut up. You're irrelevant. And you're temporary, he replied calmly. You just don't know it yet. That was the best part, watching the fear-based system stop working. The final decision came down in a clean, sterile HR email. Brad was walking into a meeting with HR, legal, and Michelle. I wasn't in the room, but offices are gossip machines. The story spread in minutes. This is a conspiracy, Brad yelled, apparently. It's him. He set me up. HR, calm. Brad, we have the logs. Logs can be faked. Legal. No. You can't do this. I'll sue. Michelle, sue if you want. First, return your laptop and badge. He slammed the door hard enough to shake glass, and then his name disappeared from the org chart like a stain wiped clean. Tiffany was fired the same day. No drama, no ceremony, just a security escort. She screamed at HR, at security, at anyone who didn't have to tolerate her. "You can't! I've done so much! Tiffany," HR said, not even raising her voice. "Please proceed to the exit." Tiffany turned on me, eyes full of hatred. "You ruined my life!" I shrugged. "No, you picked a man who steals, and you thought he wouldn't steal from you too." After that, Brad tried to find work in the industry, but our world is small. People talk. Conferences, partner circles, quiet phone calls. Have you heard about this guy? When you're fired for ethics violations, it's not a blemish, it's a brand. Nobody wants to sign contracts with someone who steals authorship and drags companies into compliance risk. And Jenny, she really took the house and the car. I didn't see the paperwork, but I did see Brad show up one day on an Uber and stand in the parking lot staring at his old executive car, now reparked, no longer his. The symbolism was so heavy you could fry bacon on it. A couple months later, Michelle called me into her office. "Sit," she said. "I want you to lead the division." "Me?" "Yes," she said. "You built Atlas. You saved the client. You handled this without theatrics, and you document so well our attorneys cry happy tears." I laughed. That's the first compliment I've heard that involves attorneys crying. She gave me a faint smile. "Welcome to America." They gave me an office, Brad's office. I walked in, sat in the chair, looked at the empty shelves, and thought, this is what karma looks like in corporate form. No dramatic music, just very clean accounting. A week later, I heard Brad had come by the front desk demanding to see me. Security didn't let him pass the lobby. "I have a right," he was yelling. "I worked here." The guard stayed calm. "Sir, you don't have access." "Tell him," Brad screamed. "Tell him he destroyed me." The guard replied, "Sir, if you don't leave, I'll call the police." I didn't go out to watch, not because I was afraid, because sometimes the best revenge isn't even looking at someone's fall. It's doing your job, calmly, while they scream into empty space. He stole my project to look bigger. His assistant spied on me and played boss because she thought power comes from sleeping with the right guy and raising your voice. They built a world where rules were for other people. Your boss stole your project and got a whole bonus package for it. You became the director, he became free agent, and his wife became the proud owner of his house and car. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.